Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you today. We're going to hear from Elspeth Bloodgood from the Faster Payments Council on XRP and other digital assets. You're going to want it. We got the U.S. ClearingHouse, Ripple, and Stellar. Don't believe it. It's still true. And we got Macro Investor talking about London is ready, and I am too. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it's $1.25 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 1.2%. Good morning, everybody. Bitcoin just over 30,000 right now, 1,900 plus for Ethereum, and we see 83.3 billion plus for Tether market cap. XRP is holding that critical 48-cent line. We'll take a look at the TA before we get out of here. But if you haven't done it yet, I'm encouraging you to join the Digital Perspective Mastermind group with hundreds of other incredible people. I know that you can't keep up with everything, and the markets are changing very quickly out here, ladies and gentlemen. It is no joke. This is the learning curve you're looking for. Get all the tools you need to help you complete your goals in the investment world. I tell you right now, take advantage of the special offer. Get inside of this group. Make the investment in yourself. And by the way, if you're interested in private equity and you're non-accredited, I can help cross that bridge when you get inside of this group. And to learn more, click the link, take advantage of the free trial. Again, make that investment in yourself. You're going to be glad that you did. Let's get started. Eleanor Tarrant comes out and tells all of us here that she has contacted the SEC's PR team, and when she asked about the rumors of Gary Gensler resigning his position as chairman, the following an alleged internal investigation had any merit, the answer is simply nope. There it is. So it is not real. And yesterday we had speculated that this may not be real because we needed to see it directly from the SEC site. An announcement specifically from there would have, verified everything. But you know what? We got the next best thing. It's Eleanor Tarrant from Fox News delivering it. So appreciate her for all that information. And here we see this. While that was rumor, this is not. Take a look at this, and this originally comes from James Rule. And if you haven't done it, tag YouTube creators. Let's help James get his YouTube channel back. He's been wrongly harmed. His channel's been taken down. We've all been through this as influencers. It is a nightmare to go through, and I want to see this resolved as quickly as possible for James. Let's help him out and retweet and tag YouTube creator as I've done as well. But he shares here originally top House Republicans blast Gensler's SEC lack of transparency. Crypto Cowboy comes in and shows us exactly what's in question here. They also raised disturbing questions regarding his own commitment to holding the SEC accountable to the same standards you seek to impose on the individuals and entities you regulate, and that is for sure. And then down here, they're asking him to explain whether any SEC employees, including yourself, have used off-channel communications to conduct official SEC business. If so, provide a list of all such platforms and all SEC employees who have used off-channel communications for official business. This has been in question before, ladies and gentlemen, about using different platforms, Telegram, Slack, and all of these things outside of the normal channels of message protocol. We'll keep you up to date. But here is an example of exactly what we're up against. And by the way, it is spreading, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to hear Xavier Hawk here talk about Ethereum being exposed. And I want you to hear it because it's nice to hear somebody outside of the XRP community discuss exactly what we've all known. Take a quick listen.
If you think about it, if all Ethereum did was a clever way to make a token available and then cover up their doing that might or might not be, SEC regulated because the people that were on their team worked for the SEC. There's a lot of weird stuff that's been going on in this industry.
Xavier knows he doesn't want to piss anybody off too bad because he's at a conference. But the reality is that's grown-up talk he's throwing around the room right there. Now, people might not want to hear it, but that's what it is. And it's a real problem when you got people like Gary Gensler at his time at MIT that understand this.
That in seconds it won't move as much. And the friction will be that you have to sell dollars to buy XRP and then sell XRP to buy peso, or you can interpose any bridge currency. One of the most significant...
Funny, because he calls it a bridge currency when he's at MIT, and now he's trying to claim it's actually a security, even though Jay Clayton dropped a lawsuit like a coward on his last day in office at the SEC. However, here is Raoul Pal. I love Raoul Pal. I love his insights and perspectives, and I love hearing anything he's got to say about the markets. And here in this particular comment, he's going to tell you that London is ready, and the loop for the world and the payment system in the euro-dollar market is absolutely connected, and that is amazing. Take a listen to this.
The UK says, forget it, we'll do it. It became what's known as the euro-dollar market, which is the overseas market for dollar borrowing and lending.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes we don't know the size of it, but let's call it a $400 trillion market.
Whoa.
And then the US, then we get this big breakthrough in derivatives. The US has got the Chicago Board of Trade doing futures and options and all of this stuff. But we start to figure out more complicated structures, things like swaps. And the US stops its banks doing it by its use of regulatory capital. They're like, no, this is inefficient. You can't do this. The UK and Europe went, well, we're going to regulate and allow it to happen because it's big. We've seen this before. That becomes a quadrillion-dollar market.
Jesus.
That's why every single bank from about 1985, well, particularly after the Big Bang in London, so let's call it from about 1990 to about 2008, 2010, all the major banks' largest operations were London. So Goldman Sachs' biggest operation, most profitable, London. Merrill Lynch, London. Merrill Lynch is different because it was a brokerage firm. But JP Morgan, they were all London. So London, if you've been watching the news, is going to do the same thing. It's called regulatory arbitrage. London is putting together a very sensible set of crypto rules, as has Europe, as has Switzerland, as has Singapore, as has Hong Kong, as has Australia. Okay, there's its old trading group that it did with Eurodollars and it did with derivatives and it did with foreign exchange, all got their regulations in place. The UK is the hub at the middle, and it will capture the lion's share. And before you know it, Coinbase, Gemini, and everybody will move to London.
So not only are they talking about capturing the lion's share in that market and recreating that euro-dollar market between all the proper players, he's also talking about getting all the innovation and the companies that establish market infrastructure in this DLT space and blockchain crypto space, moving to those areas to avoid the problems they're having here in the United States, a cascading effect, if you will. But look, we've got a lot more for you to see, like this right here. Patrick Riley stated on Twitter that Arrington Capital, a digital asset management firm and blockchain-based capital markets fund founded in 2017, has recently filed with the SEC for an XRP-based hedge fund. How about that one? Shout out to Patrick for that information and Michael Arrington for doing it. We know he's been a big advocate in the crypto space, Bitcoin and XRP. And here we see RippleNet available via Fusion, total messaging within Finastra Payments Connectivity Marketplace. You can see right here, and I don't need to play you the video, but you can see right here, RippleNet, adapted for RippleNet. RippleNet. Oh, that's not all. We're just heating up, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's not all.
Yeah,
Open APIs and a core agnostic platform.
Let me stop this right here. We don't need to see all of that. Here's what you need to see. This is Elspeth Bloodgood of the Faster Payments Council sitting down with JTXRP. And this is a great little clip here. And listen to what she says in response to ISO 20022. Make sure you give JT and the ISO go to follow. Take a listen.
Until people are like, oh yeah, I need to move. Like I get that. Let's talk about ISO 222 for a second.
Sure.
Now, there's been a lot of hype, I'm just going to say, around that and certain tokens, specifically XRP, XLM. Are you familiar with all these as well that I'm talking about for this?
I'm really familiar with the ISO 20022 message set, and specifically the messages that allow you to move payments.
Yeah.
So I'm less familiar with the other standards you're talking about.
I love that. I love how she calls I'm less familiar with the other standards. That's how she's aware of them. XRP, XLM, there's standards in her mind. Like knowing that.
You're not from, so gosh, there's standards that allow you to attach a crypto or a digital asset to the message, correct?
Yeah. So the big thing the United States is starting to put in place for financial institutions is the ISO 20022 messages to support wire transfer and to support these new real-time message networks.
Okay.
Now let's stop right there, because we've heard a lot of people out here tell us ISO 20022 has nothing to do with these tokens. And when you say ISO tokens, it doesn't mean anything. Well, listen, I tell you, those people really don't have any peripheral vision, any speculative ability here. And there's no speculation needed here. This woman is telling you absolutely that those networks tie into ISO 20022 to move value along with the messages. Don't believe it. It's still true.
Yeah. What you could tie into with them is really a different, is really a use case. So you could have a link out, you could put that embedded in the message itself, but you really have to have an application that's going to leverage being able to pull that data out and move it around. Okay. So just to move the money, we're using a series of credit push, response messages, requests for payment, response to request for payment, request for information, response to request for information. So it's a very limited set of messages. And what's on the network today are even skinnier than what the networks want to support in the long term. So the volume on the network today is largely about moving funds from corporates to consumers or other businesses that the sender already had the account number and RTN number for. One of the bigger use cases is actually to send funds out and to fund some crypto wallets. So those are transactions on the network today, on the RTP network. When I talk about on the network and using real-time payments, we're really talking about the RTP network because it is live. FedNow won't be live until sometime in July. The Federal Reserve hasn't announced the specific date yet.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a second.
And there you have that. Shout out to JT for that, but we're not done with you just yet. Remember this little clip here where Brad Garlinghouse explains that Ripple handles both messaging and liquidity. That's going to become important here in just a second, too. Take a listen.
Messages to banks that have liquidity. So to some degree, Citibank and HSBC, really the top two, JPM, those are the top three liquidity banks. And when you're sending SWIFT messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of SWIFT, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity.
And there you have it right there. And that's why I want you to hear this. United States ClearingHouse presentation cites Ripple and Stellar, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe this. It's still true.
Institutions that have a large segment in cross-border payment offerings, independently owned public companies that are non-financial institutions. You also see, emerging and innovative product lines such as, distributed ledger technologies or other VC-backed growth stage companies. What you see here is opportunity. So the more logos is, more organizations viewing cross-border payments as a ripe opportunity to modernize, to mature, to offer different value-added services for whatever region they might be representing. So we sometimes view cross-border payments have been around for a really long time. They're tried and true, and that is true. But at the same time, our customer expectations are changing, choice is evolving, and what people might need now that we have kind of this global or globalization phenomenon, that needs to adapt and change all of the organizations out there. So I always find the logo slide interesting because it proves that where there are challenges and friction, there are many opportunities for
all. And I tell you, look right here, Crypto DLT, Circle, Ripple, Stellar. Any questions? That's what we're looking at on July 3rd, ladies and gentlemen, while we're waiting for a decision from Judge Torres. And while we wait, let's look at the chart very quick here. The XRP Dragonfly Doji bullish. And here, if we go down into this thing, I'm just quickly going to go into this thing. The accuracy of any trading pattern or signal can vary. And it is essential to consider other factors, such as market conditions, confirmation signals, and everything else to go along with it. You know that, and I know that. But what he's trying to show us here, long and short, is this. We want to look at the targets. Bullish targets, we're at 48 and holding. We need 50, 53, and 58 are areas of interest that we need to pay attention to should we start to move north. If we roll over, look for 45 cents for support, and then again at 42 in that range, and 42.04, and then all the way down to 38 cents that we've all seen so much. We don't know where the chart is going to go, but these are price points that I try to pay very close attention to in the near term to understand where we may be headed, or at least until we hear where Judge Torres is headed legally. Not financial advice from me or anyone else, just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.